Union betrayal refers to situations where union leaders or organizations act in ways that are contrary to the interests and well-being of their own members. This can encompass a range of behaviors, from prioritizing the union leader's personal gains over members' needs to engaging in favoritism that undermines the trust of the membership. Understanding this betrayal is essential, as unions are typically formed to protect workers' rights, negotiate fair wages, and improve working conditions. When a union betrays its members, it not only erodes trust, but also weakens the broader labor movement. The significance of this concept is profound, as union betrayal can have lasting impacts on workers' rights and morale. It challenges the very foundation of what unions are meant to stand for: solidarity, fairness, and justice. When members believe that their leaders are no longer representing their best interests, it can lead to diminished participation, reduced bargaining power, and even the dissolution of the union itself. Ultimately, such betrayal can hinder progress in achieving social and economic justice for workers. Historically, there have been notable examples of union betrayal. One salient case is the Teamsters Union's leadership under Jimmy Hoffa in the mid-20th century, where allegations of corruption and collusion with organized crime became rampant. Another example is the 2018 scandal involving the United Auto Workers, UA, where several leaders were found guilty of embezzling union funds for personal luxuries. These cases illustrate how betrayal can manifest in different forms and the damaging effects it can have on union integrity and member trust. Opinions on union betrayal vary. Some labor activists argue that such betrayals highlight the need for increased transparency and democratic processes within unions. Conversely, critics of unions often use these incidents to argue against the necessity of unions, claiming they can become as exploitative as the corporate entities they aim to challenge. Challenges surrounding this concept include the inherent tension between leadership and membership, and the potential for external manipulation or influence to drive a wedge between them. Controversies often arise over how best to address and prevent betrayal, with some advocating for stricter regulations and oversight, while others fear overregulation could stifle union efficacy. This point of union betrayal connects to broader discussions about labor relations and workers' rights. It underscores the need for vigilance and accountability within unions to ensure they remain true to their mission. Addressing union betrayal is crucial for maintaining the integrity of the labor movement and ensuring that unions can effectively serve as champions for their members' rights and needs, as opposed to the company's agenda. The role of unions in member representation is fundamentally about advocating for the collective interests of workers within various industries. Unions function as intermediaries between employees and employers, negotiating on behalf of their members to secure fair wages, safe working conditions, and job security. This role is crucial because it embodies the core purpose of unions: to amplify the voices of individual workers and ensure their rights and needs are adequately addressed in a way they couldn't achieve alone. The significance of this representation becomes starkly apparent when unions fail their responsibility, leading to a breach of trust and potential detriment to the members they vow to protect. When unions betray their members, it can result in compromised contracts, overlooked grievances, and weakened worker protections, undermining the very foundation upon which these organizations are built. One illustrative example is the United Auto Workers (UAW) scandal, where union officials were found guilty of accepting bribes from auto executives to influence labor negotiations. This betrayal compromised the union's ability to truly represent the interests of its members, leading to unfavorable contracts that did not reflect the workforce's needs. Another example is the teachers' unions in some regions failing to adequately represent their members during the COVID-19 pandemic, where decisions made were at times perceived as prioritizing the union's political interests over the health and safety concerns of teachers. Proponents of strong union representation assert that effective advocacy is essential for maintaining the balance of power in labor relations, And research often supports the idea that unionized workplaces enjoy better pay, benefits, and working conditions. However, challenges arise when unions become entangled with corporate or political interests, creating potential conflicts of interest. Detractors argue that when unions prioritize their own survival or enrichment over their members' needs, they not only diminish trust, but also weaken the labor movement as a whole. This dynamic of representation versus betrayal directly influences broader discussions on union democracy, accountability, and reform. If unions fail in their representative role, it can spur calls for restructuring to ensure greater transparency and member control. Conversely, when unions successfully advocate for their members, it strengthens the labor movement and encourages greater worker involvement. Overall, the role of unions in member representation is a pivotal aspect that not only defines their efficacy, but also determines the broader impact they have on the labor landscape. Common instances of union betrayal refer to situations where labor unions, organizations originally established to protect the rights and interests of workers, fail to fulfill their duties, acting against the best interests of their members. This betrayal can manifest in various ways, such as union leaders engaging in corruption, prioritizing personal or political agendas over members' needs, or negotiating unfavorable contracts that do not reflect the wishes of the union members they represent. The significance of this concept is profound, as it directly impacts the trust and credibility of unions, which are critical in advocating for fair labor practices and workers' rights. When unions betray their members, it undermines the fundamental purpose of their existence, leaving workers vulnerable to exploitation and diminishing the power of collective bargaining. One notable example is the corruption scandal involving the United Auto Workers, UAW, in the United States, where several executives were implicated in embezzling millions of dollars in union funds. This betrayal not only affected the financial stability of the union, but also eroded the trust of thousands of auto workers who relied on the UAW to protect their interests. Another example is the 2012 Chicago Teachers Union strike, where some members felt that the union leadership settled too quickly with the city, accepting terms that did not align with the majority's desires for better wages and working conditions. This caused a rift within the union and highlighted the disconnect between leadership and membership. Supporters of the notion that unions can betray their members argue that the centralization of power within unions can lead to corruption and complacency. They suggest that increased transparency and member involvement can mitigate these risks and restore trust in union leadership. However, critics of this view argue that instances of betrayal are often sensationalized and that the majority of unions still operate with integrity, advocating effectively for their members. Challenges and controversies surrounding this concept include differing viewpoints on the role of unions in modern society, as well as disagreements on the best methods for holding union leaders accountable. Some argue for reform and increased regulation, while others believe that empowering members through education and participation will naturally improve union operations. Common instances of union betrayal connect to the broader topic by illustrating the potential pitfalls of centralized leadership and the critical need for accountability and transparency within unions. Addressing these issues is essential to maintaining the integrity of unions and ensuring they serve their intended purpose of protecting and advocating for workers' rights. When unions betray their own members, the impacts on workers can manifest both in the short term and long term, affecting their livelihoods, trust levels, and overall welfare. In the short term, workers may experience immediate consequences, such as loss of wages, diminished bargaining power, and a general sense of insecurity. These effects can stem from leadership decisions that prioritize organizational or external interests over the needs of the members. Poorly negotiated contracts or the mishandling of labor disputes can lead to putting workers in difficult economic situations. The long-term effects can be even more profound. trust between union members and leadership can erode, leading to decreased union participation and engagement. Over time, this diminished trust can weaken the union's bargaining strength, impacting its ability to secure beneficial contracts or improvements in working conditions. Additionally, disillusionment among workers can foster divisions within the workforce, reducing solidarity and making it more challenging to organize effectively for future negotiations or strikes. This point is crucial to the main topic because it highlights the real-world implications of union betrayal, underscoring the importance of ethical leadership and accountability within labor organizations. The significance lies in understanding how such betrayals not only harm individual workers, but also the collective power of labor movements, potentially setting back progress that has been hard-earned over decades. Real-world examples that illustrate these impacts include instances like the United Auto Workers (UAW) scandal, where corruption allegations led to prison sentences for several leaders and severely damaged the union's reputation. Similarly, in 2000, when the leadership of the Teamsters Union was accused of mismanagement and corruption, members experienced job insecurity and were left to question the effectiveness and motives of their representatives. Opinions supporting this idea often emphasize the necessity of transparency and member engagement in union operations, arguing that betrayal stems from a detachment between leadership and the rank and file. Critics argue that closer scrutiny and perhaps even regulatory oversight could prevent such betrayals. Challenges and controversies surrounding this topic include differing perspectives on the role of unions, with some arguing that unions, despite their flaws, are still crucial in protecting workers' rights. Others worry about the potential for over-regulation to stifle union independence and effectiveness. Additionally, there are debates about the balance between central leadership and grassroots member involvement. Overall, understanding the impacts on workers when unions betray their members provides valuable insights into the broader issue of labor rights and union efficacy. It emphasizes the interconnectedness between leadership accountability, member trust, and the overall strength of labor movements, which is critical for achieving sustainable improvements in workers' rights and conditions.